Hello and welcome back to Behind the Words. Next we have Hazara photographer Barat Ali Batoor discussing the plight of the Hazara people. Barat, thank you very much for joining us here this afternoon.
It's a pleasure and thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. I'll get right to it. I was wondering if you could fill us in on your background leading up to your departure from Afghanistan. What was your life like in Afghanistan?
In Afghanistan, I was working with the US Embassy, and I was a freelance photographer, and I was doing many commercial shoots. So my life was very good. I had a very good life and stable life there. I moved to Afghanistan in 2005. So before that, I was living in Pakistan.
And why were you living in Pakistan?
My parents migrated to Pakistan because of the persecution and discrimination against the Hazaras. So that is why Hazaras were being discriminated for more than a century, which started during the rule of King Abdul Rahman. He killed 63% of the Hazara population and occupied most of the lands of the Hazaras. And many people of Hazaras, they fled to neighboring Iran and Pakistan, and my parents were also among them. So that persecution is still in different phases and in different shapes. They are still going on, by different regimes. Each president or each government is changing. They are the same, but they are keeping it going. And yesterday, unfortunately, we got the news that 16 Hazara members, they were identified when they were traveling from one place to another place, and they were taken out from the vans, 3 vans, and killed them, targeted them. So this was the situation. And Hazaras in Afghanistan, they didn't have the right for education. They didn't have the right for to have a proper good job, and they were not treated as a common citizen. They were always treated as a second-class citizen. So there were discrimination everywhere. That is why my parents fled to Pakistan.
And what made you go back then? What compelled you to return to Afghanistan?
We had there was a hope for me that after the American invasion and the fall of Taliban government, I thought there will be some hope and there is some light for the Hazaras, that they can flourish and they can grow, and this is the time probably they can get their rights. And that is why I always wanted to see my country. So as I was born in exile, so I always wanted to go there back and see how my country is like. So that's why I decided to move back to my country.
And what were the circumstances that made you flee from Afghanistan? Why did you have to leave?
Many reasons. Many common reasons which had been there for many years, but I didn't care much. Was first of all, I was Hazara. I was being I had threats, or I had security concerns because of being Hazara. I could not travel easily from one place to another place. I could be targeted easily. Secondly, I was working with the foreigners, UN organizations or other international organizations, and that puts everyone in a big risk, and they are against those people who are supporting international allies. And I was a journalist, so I had 3 crimes, and that is why. And at the end, I did a story which made the people in the government unhappy. That is why I felt like there is no space where the rid of government is strong. So I was safe first in the cities where the government is stable and has a power or control there, but not in the areas where the Taliban are powerful. But at the end, when I did this story, so people in the government, they turned against me. So that is why I didn't have any other place to go. So I had to flee. I had to leave the country.
Was it the series of photos, the Dancing Boys of Afghanistan, or was it another story?
Yeah, it was the Dancing Boys story that I did it I started it in 2000 and late 2009 and like finished it in 2010. But it was published in 2012, and after that, the circumstances and the situation has changed, and I was really concerned for my security because of the threats that I was receiving. Yeah, that the exploitation, like it was the story about the exploitation of the children, like the child prostitution, that these warlords and the powerful people in the government, they are using children for their own satisfaction and for their own entertainment. I wanted to do something good for the children, but I thought there will be some organization who will support the idea, who will put some more effort to stop it. But unfortunately, like those people in the government or the former warlords, they are more powerful than those human rights organizations.
Now, what does it mean to you to be Hazara? What does that say about yourself?
Being Hazara in Afghanistan was a crime. If you are a Hazara, it is a crime, and that is why, like the movement during the civil war, which started under the leadership of Abdul Ali Mazari, who was later on killed by the Taliban in 1995. His first like motto or slogan was this: that I want that being Hazara should not be any crime anymore. So it was really hopeful for me, and it was really, I was really excited when I first got to Australia and I saw that the Hazaras in Australia, they are flourishing and they are really doing well here. And the first flow of the Hazaras when they migrated to Australia in late 1990s, most of them, they didn't know English, and they were not aware of the society or the Australia. Like most of them, they must have heard the name of Australia for the first time, or they were not aware at all. So when they came here and they did, with no English and with no money, they started working as a laborer in like in construction works or like in meat factories or other places. Now in a matter of just 10-12 years, they have established their own businesses, like which worth more than $1 million, and like they have their own companies, and the students, they are flourishing in education, they are going into very professional fields, and plus in sports they are doing very well. So it was really promising for me that at least there is a country in the world that the Hazaras have the right to do what they deserve to do as a human.
And why have you chosen photography? What drew you to photography as your, I guess, means of sharing your view of the world?
I think it goes back to this discrimination and persecution of my people, unconsciously or unintentionally. But when I first visited Afghanistan, and after that I wanted to do something, but I didn't know what to do. So then I saw like photojournalists around me. I thought maybe this is a good job. Like I can express my ideas, I can express my views, I can tell the stories through this. I choose my subjects from my emotion. Like when I see something around me, if I'm moved, like it is all about my emotion, what I want to express. So that's how I choose my subject. Like if something is going on, like if something moves me in a positive way, like I want to show that. For instance, the story of the Hazaras here, like how they are flourishing. I really liked it, and I documented that and exhibited. Yeah. Plus, that story was not only about the success story, but the suffering of asylum seekers, like how they are living with an uncertain fate here. They are waiting, and like whatever the politicians are playing their games, and they are relying on them, and they don't know when their fate will be clear, and when there will be the time for them to to have a reunion with their families, and And plus, I wanted to show that if they are given a chance, like those previous asylum seekers, that they are those who flourished, they will grow the same, and they will also play the same role in the society.
That was an insightful conversation with Hazara photographer Barat Ali Batoor. The reason that I decided to create this episode was to stimulate discussion about the refugee concern in Australia. Next up is Melbourne artist Fung No.